Hello, this video is called The Biblical Earth. One reason people have a problem with the biblical earth is that they start with the assumption of the solar system, which we have all been programmed with. But true science, you have to start with the facts and then work to a conclusion. You can't start with a conclusion and work backwards. So one reason people reject the biblical earth is they don't exactly understand what it is. So that's what I'd like to show you today. What is the biblical earth? And so rather than starting with an assumption of the solar system and working and distorting science, distorting the Bible, distorting common sense and history, we need to start with the Bible, science, and work conclusion, and then we'll get the truth. So let me start now with the Bible description of the earth. The Bible says in the beginning that God was moving over the surface of the waters. And every depiction I have seen of this is like this in the beginning. But then on the second day, God made a firmament or a solid dome over the waters. And it's interesting, I have never heard anyone else say this, but I've been building a lot in my life, and I didn't realize that the procedure that we build is exactly the way God built. According to Job, he set his foundations in the waters. He set the pillars of heaven and earth on the foundations. So normally we lay a foundation and we put the walls up, and what do you usually do next? You put the roof on. And on the second day, God put the roof on. The word firmament always means solid structure. And what do you usually do then after, when you're building? You do some interior work, like maybe interior walls or whatever. And so after the roof on the second day, on the inside, God made the dry land appear. And so he did some interior work. And then on the fourth day, so after we put the roof on, we do some interior work. And what do we sometimes do then? We put the lights in. On the fourth day, God put the lights in the ceiling, which is the second heaven. Sun, moon, and stars. There's no record in the Bible of God ever creating planets. You can't find it. In fact, the word itself, if you say, oh, I believe in the planetary system, you've just confessed that you believe in the system that deceives and leads astray. The noun planet means to wander, and the verb planet means to deceive, mislead, or lead astray. And so the planetary system leads astray, and that's what it has done for many years. And so God put the firmament and the roof in. So he laid the foundations in the waters, pillars of heaven and earth, firmament. The Bible says he sits above the circle of the earth. The firmament is like a dome, over the earth, and within it are the sun, moon, and stars. There is no curve to the earth. It is in the waters that the solid land stood out of the waters. So God made sun, moon, and stars. Jeremiah 31 speaks of the circuits of the sun, moon, and stars, never a circuit of the earth, because in Psalm 104, verse 5, the earth does not move. And if we're wondering, well, what does that really mean? Well, he explains it. He says it's on foundations and cannot move. Well, so there's a double statement. Not only does he say it does not move, but the reason is because it's on foundations, it cannot move. In Joshua 10, the sun and moon stood still. But today we say, oh no, it wasn't really the sun, it was the earth that stood still. But the problem is, it would have to have been the earth and the moon stood still. So there's a big difference between the sun and moon stood still and the moon and the earth stood still. The firmament above is what is called the second heaven. It is a solid firmament within which are all the stars and the angelic beings. When the word was translated into the Greek Septuagint, instead of the word firmament, they used the word stereoma, which again refers to a solid surface. The Bible says in Revelation that the sky will be torn and rolled up like a scroll. Well, you can't roll up a vapor mist, which we're told the outer space is. So it's a solid surface which will be rolled up at the end, split apart. According to the Bible, God is in the north. Psalm 75, Isaiah 14, Satan said, I will make my throne above the stars of God in the recesses of the north. So God is revealed to be in the north. The north is the center of the dome, the highest point. The North Star is the only star that never moves. Earth is a plane. Revelation 20, verse 9. The Greek word is plateaus, which means a plane, like the word plateau, which comes from the word platus, a flat surface. The Bible says the expanse of the waters is frozen. That means around as the dome touches the earth, the waters are frozen. And the Bible refers to this as the separation place between day and night. The Bible says he compassed the waters with bounds in Job 26:10. In Job 37:18, he says, can you like him spread out the skies, strong as a mirror of molten glass? So in 4 different ways, he says in Job 38:17 that the firmament is solid. And Daniel 4 and Matthew 4, the tree in Daniel 4 was visible from the ends of the earth. Can only be done on a flat surface. And when Jesus was taken to a high mountain in Matthew 4, the only way he could see the kingdoms of the earth is on a flat surface. So now I want to just go through some of the defense and the proofs of the biblical earth. The first one, which should be the only one that's ever needed, is long distance shots. If you have a long distance shot on an area that is curved, I mean, even in kindergarten, the children know if they see a person, they're playing peekaboo and they see a person standing by the side of the house, you ask them, well, is he behind the house or is he next to the house? Well, if you can see him, he's next to the house. So you can't see around objects. Radar doesn't work around objects. Line of sight missile aiming does not work around a curve. So the biggest proof, and really the only one that we should need, is that if you are here and you can see an object that is here, you're not looking over a curve. You're on a flat, straight line. And one of the very interesting tests of this is the 2014 GoPro world record, GoPro Go Fast record for the highest elevation for an amateur rocket. And so it went up 72 miles. And the very interesting thing is that from 72 miles up, which would be about here, because this is 4,000 miles, right? This is the 1,000 miles. This would be about 72 miles.